Robert Kelly is a professor in the Department of Political Science and Diplomacy at Pusan National University, and he joins us now from Busan in South Korea. Great to have you on the program. Tell us, how 70 years on has the Korean War affected and still affects the families caught in the middle of this on both sides?
Sure. So there were divided families at the beginning of the war, obviously, but that division now is beginning to fade away. There really just aren't actually that many people who were alive at the time of the war. If you read some of the commentary, people pointed out that many of the veterans who are still alive are now in their 90s, right? And this reflects the long-term sort of growing apart, if you will, of the two countries, right? I mean, even the language now is sort of beginning to split away. When North Koreans defect and come into South Korea, they find that they have sort of language issues. The two Koreas are sort of growing into somewhat separate states with somewhat separate societies. Sort of the pain of sort of the direct familial pain of the division is something that's generationally just sort of fading away.
And where are we with regards to peace?
Yeah, not so good. I mean, the big hope was that this particular president in South Korea might really push a breakthrough. The current president, Moon Jae-in, is probably the most dovish, sort of pro-engagement president South Korea has ever had, and he's had sort of a wingman of sorts in Donald Trump, who's been more interested in a deal with North Korea than any other U.S. president, right? But they just have not been able to get a good deal out of North Korea. I mean, there's a lot of blame to go around. You can argue that Donald Trump didn't offer the North Koreans enough to get them to give up their nuclear weapons. But it also looks like the North Koreans didn't really come into the negotiations intending to do that. If you read John Bolton's book in the last few days, it looks like all sides are basically playing this thing for photo ops. And so on the ground, if you actually sort of like go up into like northern South Korea or, on the North Korean side, not much has changed, right? You still have large military forces, you still have all the barbed wire and everything else. So empirically, there's been very little change on the ground.
And how do you read the decision taken by North Korea's leader to suspend planned military action against the South? Do you think he will eventually choose military action?
No. I think that was almost certainly sort of a gin-up, a spin-up of tension by design. The North Koreans have a long history of doing this, so sort of like spinning up fake crises and sort of banging the war drums and saying things are about to go over a cliff, and then at the last minute they pull back and then they demand concessions to get things to sort of stabilize. This is actually pretty well-established North Korean bargaining behavior. North Korea likes to do sort of like small provocations along the border, like the destruction of the building. I believe you're showing that right now, right? And they've done sort of like shootouts on the sea border in the Yellow Sea. But these things never really spin out of control. The North Koreans are very far behind conventionally and would lose any kind of sustained military conflict. If they use nuclear weapons, obviously that would destroy the entire state. So the North Koreans don't actually want a conflict. And Kim, I highly doubt the North Koreans meant it a few days ago when they said that, war was imminent. They just don't operate like that.
Robert Kelly, great to get your perspective and analysis. Thank you so much for your time.